Welcome to another episode of TV Toastmasters. I'm your host, Erik Bergman, a member of We Toasted Toastmasters in Lake Oswego. And I'm so excited tonight because I have a great guest. She's a human dynamo, the Energizer Bunny, an inspiration, a role model, a mentor, a coach. And when you need an inspiration, she's there to show you the way. And that's Phyllis Harmon. She's one of our most decorated local Toastmasters from District 7, having served in really every leadership role up to the very top district director. And to top that off, she's been named Toastmaster of the Year, a great honor. Welcome, Phyllis Harmon.
Well, thank you. Good to be here, Erik.
I know that I'm one of the people who has learned so much and gained from your generosity of time and spirit and gained from your example. What was it that brought you into Toastmasters and caused you to seize this and run with it?
Oh, well, that's quite the long story, Erik. I can shorten it down to the fact that if I didn't clean up my communication act, I was going to be fired from my job. I was just really bad. People frustrated me, and I took it out on them in my emails. And eventually I got hauled into the boss's office, and he said, "Stop it, or find yourself another job." I went back to my manager and said, "What can I do? I can't do my job." And she said, "You need Toastmasters." So I looked online, I found a club, and within 2 weeks I joined it, and the path had begun. It hasn't stopped yet.
And that was about 10 years ago, correct?
Yeah, it was about 10 years ago.
So, although you're retired now, you've continued in Toastmasters. There must be something there beyond the professional workplace that appeals to you and still drives you. Tell us about that.
What I did is I found my tribe. I really did. I'm pretty much a loner all my life. My husband traveled a lot, and I traveled with him, so that kind of cut down on the friend community. And so when I joined Toastmasters, I found a whole bunch of people that were just like me. And one of the first things I was asked to do was to be an education coordinator, which is one of the people that helps the district trio to put together conferences. And I said, "I don't know anybody." And what I was told is, "You will." And they're right. I now know probably 2/3 of the people in this district by first name. So there you go.
And 2/3 of the people in District 7 here is about 2,000 people.
Yeah, just about that. Yeah.
They're spread from southern Washington all through western Oregon and even into northern California.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And I haven't visited all those places, but I can tell you I know people from each and every one of those little cubby holes in the district. So.
Right. Now, you've found that when you're in these roles as a leader in a volunteer organization where you're not paid and the people who are helping you aren't paid, that you may have to you make the ask for people to help.
That's right.
How do you look and find the people in an organization who are ready to step up, who are ready to try something, even if, like you, they didn't know quite what they were getting into?
Well, that is a very interesting question. And I want to start by saying that first I have to know what I want. It doesn't do any good for me to go out and talk to people if I am not very sure what I'm looking for. For instance, recently the district decided they wanted to have a radio presence. So I was told, go find us a way to get on the radio. I went out to LinkedIn and I looked for people that were Toastmasters that also worked in radio. I mean, easy to find, right? Well, I came up with a lady who actually is part of Milwaukee Talkies, and she just so happens to be a manager at KPAM Radio. So she and I connected. We've done 2 campaigns together that spreads the word of District 7 Toastmasters throughout, from Longview, Washington to somewhere down in Salem. And they've heard our messages, and people are actually signing up because of those. So that's one example. If it's not quite that cut and dried, what I do is I look for people that I've heard have a spark. And by a spark, I mean who have that interest, who have that passion, who want to move forward. And I will approach them and I'll tell them, I've heard great things about you. here's something that the district really needs, and I think you would be great for this role. Are you interested? Can I count on you? If they tell me yes, then we move forward. If they tell me no, they don't have time, then I congratulate them on knowing their time so that they feel good when I walk away from them for now.
Right. I was just going to say, for now, you won't ask them again. But there may be another opportunity well suited for them.
And I'll ask them that too. Would you be interested in helping us in the future? And most times I'll get people to come back and say yes. I think they're thankful that I haven't nailed their foot to the floor right now, but I'll be there later for them.
One of the things that I admire in you, Phyllis, is that in retirement, you don't seem to have slowed down at all. You have pursued new learning opportunities, including some varied paths within Toastmasters. You're an editor and a publisher, and you learned all that to help Toastmasters get its word out. And you are a member of TV Toastmasters, and when you're not here in the interview seat, you are in the studio booth making sure the production happens and that the control panel is staffed. Tell us about these two paths that you've taken and why it mattered to you to do these.
Well, let's start with the magazine, because I started that when I was district director. And the reason I did that is I saw that our members in our clubs were siloed, only within their own clubs, and I felt that there was a need for community. So I started our magazine called Voices, and at that time, every division had their own page. Well, that kind of fell apart because of other things that were going on in the different divisions. So we combined it, and now 5 years later, I have people coming to me and asking me if I will publish their stories. And I always do along with the bio, because it's all about the member and making sure they get what they need. Now, for TV Toastmasters, I have a great interest in learning all that I can on how to put together great videos. And I don't do that alone. There's a great membership team that we all work together, as you do. You're a member of TV Toastmasters, and look at us here. So there's people in front of the camera and behind, and we all work together to get the word out about our district, as well as highlight the members who appear on our shows. So I'm learning all this. I do have an end in mind. I want to do documentaries. I want to do stories and highlight people, what they're doing outside the walls of Toastmasters that make their life fulfilled. So that's where I plan to go with this.
There seems to be no end in sight and no end of possibilities, given the personal connections you've made to connect with people who have those stories to tell, connections with the people who have the skills to help you with whatever you don't yet know how to do. That's great. It's just it's an inspiration to think that when you're done earning a paycheck, there's still so many opportunities ahead. And it strikes me that you're just a lifelong learner, a role model for lifelong learning. Why is that important to you, to keep your brain engaged and keep moving forward?
Well, I think you started out with that well. I think it's keeping my brain engaged and not ever giving up, because there's always something new to learn, whether it's a skill or how to write a book. In fact, I'm starting that on Friday. That's a whole nother story. But it's a love of learning, and I want to share that with people. I want to share with our members in this district and anybody else who's coming in what a joy it is to be able to master a skill and then put it to use. And that's what I'm trying to do. I call myself a work in progress, because I'm never, ever done learning. So what's next for me? I'm learning more about what we're doing here.
Maybe you could tell a little bit about the clubs that you're in, so that people can see the advantages or the things that distinguish each club.
Okay. I started with Wallmasters. That was the club I started in 10 years ago. Currently, I am still in that one. I'm in Feedbackers, which is a monthly club, and we meet and learn how to give great evaluations. I'm in TV Toastmasters, so I'm learning how to highlight someone and show them in the best place possible. I'm also a member of one of the online clubs that totally meets online, and I did that because not only do I want to do documentaries, I want to learn how to do podcasts and vlogs and all of that new technology that's going on and appear like I know what I'm doing, but first I have to learn. So how many is that? That's 3. Oh, and then there's Storymasters. I started Storymasters about 5 years ago, and the reason I did that was twofold. Number one, I have a great interest in learning to tell my story better, which goes along with TV and documentaries, etc. But also the district needed one more club. And so I said, I can do that. And within the last days of that particular year, we chartered Storymasters and became distinguished at a district level. So that's a double whammy for me. It was great.
Great. And for people who want to know more about these clubs or about Toastmasters in general, what website do they go to for that?
What I suggest they do is go to toastmaster.org, O-R-G. Go to the filter that says Find a Club, and decide what day of the week, what location, and where they want to meet, time of day, etc. Choose a few. Go look at them. And when you find one that fits like an old shoe, that's the one you join.
Right. It's so important, and it's so great when a visitor does come in for the first time, and they maybe don't quite know what's going on, but soon they're in the groove. They found a home. They found their tribe, as you said. And they're starting to make progress on those professional skills, those personal skills, which are truly life skills. So, Phyllis Harmon, thank you so much. It's been great talking to you. I appreciate your message that Toastmasters can change lives for the better. I'm so glad you watched with us today. And please come back again for another episode of TV Toastmasters. I'm Erik Bergman, signing off for now.
Hello everyone, my name is Christopher Taylor and I'm with TV Toastmasters. My home group is Feedbackers in Beaverton, Oregon. I first joined Toastmasters for a couple reasons. I was nervous. I had trouble speaking in front of others. I needed some help. And when I joined Toastmasters, not knowing what to expect, I learned several things. One, it gave me the confidence to speak in front of others. I learned how to take constructive criticism. I benefited from that. That benefit was the confidence to get a job. When I took the suggestions in the club, when I started speaking in front of a group and remained speaking through my role, doing table topics, getting topics that you're unaware, learning how to think on your feet, learning how to speak on your feet. I first started working managing the Berkshire Hathaway account. I started as a back office role, not the face of the company. It didn't take long until I was dealing directly with the executives. Today I give executive briefings for Verizon Enterprise in the highest level in the enterprise space. And I'm grateful and I owe all of that to Toastmasters. Thank you.
Hi, welcome back to TV Toastmasters. My name is Bill Maher. I'm a member of the New Horizons Toastmasters Club in Tualatin, Oregon. I have another special guest from our club this evening. He's a volunteer for the Tualatin Valley Fire and Rescue, and he's an engineer, and he's a member of our Toastmasters Club. Please help me welcome Mike Daly. Mike, thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
How are you so far?
Doing well tonight.
Great. As we were preparing for our time here this evening, I noticed your signature on your email. Are motorcycles dangerous? No. Dangerous is getting off the couch on a Sunday and finding out you were there for years. When I put something on my email signature, it's there for quite a while, and there's a significant reason for that. Why did you choose that quote?
10 years ago, I got into motorcycling because my brother died of cancer at age 37. My family is a very play-it-safe kind of family, and life is too short to let things pass by. So I wanted to learn how to ride motorcycles. So I got off that couch instead of sitting there for another several years to just explore some things that I don't do normally. And motorcycling was one of those avenues that fascinated me. I felt it was safer than parachuting out of an airplane or racing a car around racetracks. So I wanted to see what it was like. And so I got out to adventure my life and been on some fun road trips since.
It does seem like fun. I don't know if I will ever do that as an actual hobby or something that I use as a regular form of transportation, but it's cool, it's neat. Another aspect of what you've done, I would say, recently to get yourself off the couch is to join Toastmasters.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about how you got to choose, I'm going to try Toastmasters, and then I'm going to join Toastmasters.
About 2008, I started to get involved in politics. And I joined a couple of groups locally here. One of them was with Americans for Prosperity, and Cleon was there. And they started talking about starting a Toastmasters group called Liberty Talkers. And I was in kind of this mode of visiting everything I could. I was in a learning mode. I didn't know what Toastmasters was, but I wanted to check it out. It was related to politics to some degree. So I went and checked it out. And then little did I know, or what I soon found out, was we give prepared speeches, table topics, and the whole gamut of Toastmasters. I'm a charter member of that club, so I haven't been back, but I just visited recently. But it was about 2008 when I joined.
Wow. And you are part of New Horizons Toastmasters Club.
Yes.
You've been part of us for a couple of years, I believe, about 2 years.
2 years, 2.5 years.
2.5 years. Why did you settle on New Horizons Toastmasters Club?
I'm a morning person. My dad's DNA was a farmer, so he was always up early. As I got older, I realized I still have that DNA in me too, so I'm always up early, so the hour didn't bother me. And I'd been out of Toastmasters for about 5 years, 4 years, and I wanted to get back in and was trying to figure out which one would suit the best. And, well, there was Joe and the rest of the gang acting goofy and stuff, and I thought, well, this has got to be the group I got to join. I can't join they're all good groups.
They are good groups.
But,
We all have our own.
8 o'clock to be fun.
8 o'clock on a Saturday morning is an interesting hour for people to commit to. I've become a morning person the past couple of years for lots of different reasons, and it works for me. But it also works for me because you have the rest of Saturday. When we're done our Saturday morning, you still have the day, which is kind of nice. I also found out recently that you're an engineer, and stereotypically engineers tend to be introverted, and the idea of public speaking doesn't come naturally. Tell us a little bit about what kind of engineer you are and how Toastmasters and engineering, or at least your position as an engineer, work together.
They don't.
At all.
I'm a structural engineer and sit in a cubicle 8 hours a day. I have to connect with clients, and I didn't have a problem with that in the past. I think getting involved in Toastmasters built a level of confidence. If you can talk in front of a group of people about topics that they don't understand, and you get them to understand at the end of it, I think I was doing well in learning to be more confident in my engineering. I was a late bloomer with my education, with my license. I didn't graduate till 10 years after I got out of high school. I didn't get my license till about 14 years ago. So I'm a late bloomer, so I'm always slow, and it kind of made me feel like I lacked some confidence because I was always so behind the 8 ball of everything. Toastmasters kind of built that confidence. We tend to be introverts. We're not very sociable people. Some of the fun times we have is talking about rebar and retaining walls and steel design, and I didn't like that. I wanted to do something more where I could talk about other things, the creative side of life that I like to do as well. So it's helped build some confidence. And going out and meeting clients. I had a hard time with that in the past. Some days I do, but most of the time I can go start a conversation.
Okay.
That's good.
Okay. And I believe that when you do have to go out and talk to somebody that you haven't talked to before, break the ice, so to speak, and being able to step out in that way, many people have a certain level of discomfort, some more than others. Some people are naturally wired that way, and they get a lot of energy from that. I believe that engineers tend to be a little more introverted just because of the nature of their work. The nature of the work is more linear, and you're figuring out a lot of details. It's very detail-oriented.
Right.
Because a lot of lives depend upon those details.
To be safe, yes. Have our buildings safe and don't want them to collapse.
That would be bad.
And we want them to look nice. We want to present a project to the architect, not to have to sell them, well, we can't do that because this can't be designed, or I don't want to design it. We want to provide them a design that will work for them as well, because they've got a design, the client owner has a design that they want to do. So we have to put our nose to the grindstone and come up with something.
It is fascinating. As you know, I'm a high school teacher, and I've been middle school and high school teachers for over 20 years now. And I'm always interested going into schools. I understand schools, I understand educational philosophy. And when I see the architecture of a school, I can understand what they were thinking when the building was designed. Because once the walls are in place, you can't move the walls. And hearing the conversations and understanding how decisions are made for me is always fascinating, and how that works out to reality. When you look at your experience in Toastmasters, and maybe you want to go back 2 years, maybe you want to go back further than that, what kinds of skills have you seen in yourself develop that might be a little bit of a surprise?
I think it's just going out to the public and talking to people. I noticed on vacations, like last year when I went up to Canada, I just started talking to people while we were waiting to get on the ferry. That wasn't me 10, 15 years ago. I just carry on a conversation. If they're going to give me one-word answers, then okay, this conversation's done. If they're going to carry on a conversation, then great. I've started, like Cleon says, meet new people.
Learn new things.
And so I like to do that when I'm out, talk to people. So it's going to help me walk out in society and get face time with people.
Sure. You do volunteer work for Tuolin Valley Fire and Rescue.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that. Why did you choose to do that? What kinds of things do you do?
I got tired of politics at one point. The group that I was leading for 4 years, AFP, disbanded from Oregon, and I was getting tired of politics. They have a lifetime for certain people, and mine wore out. So I wanted to, and I was in a volunteer mode. I had also volunteered for Architects in School program for 3rd through 5th graders, teaching them architectural and structural concepts. And I wanted to get into something else. My company, we design fire stations. Well, we've done a lot of fire stations in the past, several of them for Tuolin Valley Fire and around the state of Oregon. And I was always fascinated by the fire stations. I was a little kid, I had a little toy fire engine and so forth. And I was just on Twitter. My usual social media self was on Twitter, and they had an ad up for needing volunteers. Now, they had 3 positions for volunteering. One is a firefighter. So I knew that wasn't going to be for me at my age. I can't do that anymore. And then they have an ISV, which is an incident support volunteer. They're the ones that show up to the scene when it's really serious. Like if it's a huge fire, they're there to help with first aid, with helping the firefighters, have some downtime, because adrenaline gets going on a lot of these firefighters, and they want to just keep going. But you can only stay in there for a while. You need to rest, get some food, water, don't dehydrate. And I thought about that one. I'm still out a little bit on that one. But there's another one that Tualatin has, is the auxiliary group. And they have a series of antique engines. They're ranging from 1905, I believe it is, all the way up to 1959. One's a horse-drawn steamer, like in the old days, and the other one's a 1918 American LaFrance. Big, huge wheels, chain-driven, brakes in the back. And we go out to various functions throughout the year, mostly during the summer months, of course, like car shows. In July, we go down to the old-fashioned days and join other firefighters or other fire districts, and they bring their antique engines. And I do a lot of public relations through it. A lot of firefighters are too busy. A lot of them are too busy doing all their other activities, and so they need a face out there that says we're part of the district too. And so people like that. The kids love it. And plus, I do the photography for our group. So
excellent. You are definitely keeping busy.
Yes.
Well, thank you for joining us this evening. It's been a pleasure learning about you and all the different facets of your life currently, and glad that you're part of Toastmasters.
I'm enjoying it. It's been a good venture, and I'm still looking forward to more.
Thank you for joining us this evening. Again, my name is Bill Maher, member of New Horizons Toastmasters Club in Tualatin, Oregon. My guest has been Mike Daly. We hope that you enjoyed the interview this evening. I know I learned a lot about Mike and about Toastmasters. And if you're looking for a Toastmasters club, go to toastmastersinternational.org, do a web search for a Toastmasters club in your area, and try one out. You're more than welcome on 8 o'clock Saturday mornings to join us at New Horizons. Thank you very much.
Speak in public? I'd rather be burned at the stake. At least that's how I used to feel, until Toastmasters. I went online and found a club that met every week at lunchtime, and they were close to my office, so it worked out great. I was really scared when I started, but no one pressured me to speak or pushed me to do anything I wasn't ready for. I felt safe, and I realized it was okay to be nervous and to make mistakes, because these people were going to support and encourage me no matter what. And now, well, let's just say things have changed. I speak in front of large groups, lead all-day seminars, and conduct presentations to top executives. Toastmasters changed my life.
There are over 100 Toastmasters clubs meeting all around the Portland, Vancouver area, near your office, home, or even your school. We meet on all days of the week, morning, noon, and night. Our clubs couldn't be more convenient or affordable at under $10 a month. Visit a couple locations and find the one that's just right for you. All the information you need is at toastmasters.org.